Hello my dear friends, welcome to this video. In this video we're gonna learn how to use the Node.js file system modules. In the last videos, if you didn't watch yet, make sure to watch them. We talked about Node.js basic, Node.js modules, how to create modules, and etc. In this tutorial we're gonna learn how to use this file system. File system is very powerful tools of the Node.js, which you can read, create, update, delete, rename files. The Node.js file system allows us to work with the file system on the computer. To include the file system inside our application, it's very easy. You just make a variable, you call it anything. I call it fs, and you have to require the fs, which stands for file system. And what you can do by this file system, you can use it to read the files, create files, update files, delete files, rename files. We'll talk about each of them in this video. Okay, the first thing is we want to learn how to read a file by using the Node.js. There is a very nice module inside this Node.js, which is the file system. And this file system have few methods. The first one is the fs.readFile. This method is used to read file on your computer. Let's say we have a file called demo file1.html. Let's make this file. I go to my Visual Code. I'm inside my project folder. I make a file. I call it demo file1.html, and I write a dummy code in here. For example, we have a simple HTML file, and inside this one we have h1, my header, and we also have a paragraph, my paragraph. This is a dummy, this is a file we have, and I want to use the Node.js to read this file. So I make another file. You can call it anything. I call it readFile.js. Okay, once you have created that, you have to write few line of code, which is this code. I will explain each part of this code, so no worries. If you have watched my other tutorials, you know how to create a server by using Node.js. If you didn't watch yet, I put the link in the description. Please make sure to watch that video so you learn how to make a server. That way this code will be not hard for you. Okay, let's go to our Visual Code. Inside this read file, I first have to import the HTTP. To do that, I say require, and this HTTP module. I have imported the HTTP module. The second thing we have to import is the file system. I make a variable, I call it fs, you can call it anything, and I want to require the fs. This is the fs module from the Node.js, which allows us to work with the files. Okay, after that I want to make a server inside my computer. If you follow my other tutorials, you know how this works, but I will explain that once more in here. First, I use my http dot create server, and this has a function inside, and this function has two parameters. The first one is request, and the second one is response. Inside this function, what I want to do is I want to read a file. Before doing that, let's create the response header. I give my page a header. This means right hit. This is how it works. I explained everything in the last video. Make sure to watch it to understand this better. So this response right hit have two parameters. The first one is 200, which is the state. 200 means okay, and after that we have an object to explain what is our file type, which is content type, which is equal to, which is text/html. Now our browser knows this is an HTML file. After that I have to end this response. Okay, and I want this server should be at a port. I'll give it a port, so I say listen on port 3000. And this is how we make a server by using Node.js. But our goal is to read this demo file HTML by inside this file. I want to use the Node.js to read the demo file 1 HTML inside my application. How we can do that? Actually, this is very easy. Once we created the header, before that I use this fs. I use this fs, which is a Node.js module. I just simply say fs dot what I want. Like we said, we want to read a file, and just write read file. That easy. And inside that one, you have to choose the path, which file you want to read. I want to read this demo file, and this is inside my project folder, so I simply call it its name, demo file 1.html. and after that you have to put a function. After that we have a function which has two parameters. The first one is the error and the data, and we want everything inside this function. So this is our function, so we put this response head and etc inside our function. It means once it reads this file, it put this information for us. Okay, so what we want to first create a head, and after the head I want to use the response.write to output what? The data, and the data is the content of this demo file 1.html. Because our function have an error in data, you can simply use that data to send it to the server. But you can also check if there is an error. That's very easy. If error, throw the error. If there is an error, it does this. If there is no error, it will read the file and write it inside. Sorry, not here, I have to put it here. If once it reads the file, it show it in the browser for us, and we have to return this in because we are inside a function right now. Okay, that's it. But we have forgot one thing. Yes, this fs file system, we have to close it. You have to close everything. Let's see what is the problem. Okay, we mistakenly we should delete that bracket. Okay, now our code is completed. We just have to save this file, go to the terminal, open a new terminal. To run your Node.js file, you just need to have to make sure you are inside the project folder which your file located. We are inside that. Just type Node.js, sorry, Node, and your file name, your application name. This is readFile.js. Once that our service is running, let's go to the browser 127.0.0.1 and 3000 is the port which I enter. You see, this is the content of this demo file.html, and we use the Node.js to read that file. If I change anything in here, for example, hello world, I change the paragraph. If save this one and restart my server and refresh, you see it's changed. By using Node.js, we have completely read another file. That's easy, right? I hope you learned this one. Okay, what is the next thing? The next thing is to create a file. Now we learn how to read a file, but we also want to learn how to create a file. To create a file, we have three ways. By using the file system append, open, or readFile. We have these three methods to create a file. The first one is fs.appendFile. The fs.appendFile method appends a specific content to a file. If the file does not exist, the file will be created. That easy. It also append the file, but if the file is not there, it will create that file for us. So we can use it to create a file. Okay, so in this example, I want to use this append file to create a file. Let's go to the Visual Code. Let's close this one. I call this one a unique file, create file, and I want to say which method I want to use. In this example, I want to use the append file. I just write append.js. Okay, I want to create a file, for example my new file 1.txt. I want to create this file by using this method. To do that, first of all, you have to include your file system module, just like this, require the fs. That easy, right? Okay, once we have done this one, I have to say fs.appendFile. By using this, we can create a file. Okay, and what it has? The first thing it says the path, the file name, where the file must be, where the file should be created, or which file we want to append something to it. So I don't have any file called my new file 1.txt. You see, it doesn't have any file called my new file.txt in here, and this append file will create that file for us. After that, you put a comma, and this is the data, what you want to put inside this file. For example, I want to put hello world, something like that. And after that, you have to write a function. This function has a callback of, this function have a parameter of error. Okay, so inside this function we check if there is any error. What we want to do, we want to throw that error, and if there is not an error, we want to console log and see a message, file has been created. We want to print this file. Let's save this one and run it by using Node.js and see if it works or not. You go to Node.js, I just type node in my file name, which is create file append.js. Watch here, when I run this command, it should create this my new file.txt for me. Let's run it. Okay, there's an error. What is the error? Let me check. Cannot find module. Okay, after some debugging, I found your file name shouldn't have a space. I don't know why, but it shouldn't have. So I want to rename my file and remove this space. Let me clear everything here and run it again. Node in my file name, create file append.js. Watch this here clear. Sorry, watch this section. When I press enter, it will create this my new file.txt for me. Enter. The file has been created, and as you can see, my new file 1.txt, and this file should have something inside this. And what is that? This is a hello world. I want this should be the content of that file. Let's open it, and yes, as you can see, we have hello world inside this file. So by using fs.appendFile, we can create a file. We can also append something else to this file. For example, if I change this message to 123 and run it once more, let's check my new file. You see, this 123 is appended to this file. So this fs.appendFile does two jobs for us. It creates a file, and if that file exists, it appends the content to it. Okay, what is next? After the create file, we have just like before we said, we have three methods: the fs.append, write to create a file. So we tried the first method. The second method is to use the fs.open. The fs.open method takes a flag as a second argument. If the flag is w, which means writing, the specific file is open for writing. If the file does not exist, an empty file is created. So what it does, the job of this method is actually to open that file, but if that file doesn't exist, it creates that file that easily. So let's see how it works. Let's go to my Visual Code. I close this file. I create another file. I say create file, and this time we're using open.js. Okay, what we want to do, very simply, first I have to import the fs module, and after that I just use the fs.open. And what it takes first the path where you want the file to be created. I want to create a file inside this folder, so I just type its name. I call this one my new file 2.txt. I wanted to create this file just like we talked. This fs.open take a flag, and to write a file the flag is w, which means write. And after that we have a function with a parameter of error. So let's go to inside this function, and what we want, I want to check if there is any error. If there is any error, just throw that error for me. That easy. And if there is no error, console log file is created. I want to print this message. Let's save this one and run it inside my terminal. I say note, my file name is create file open.js. Let's run it. As you can see, my new file 2 is created, and this file should be empty, and that's it. This is empty. So this was the second method to create a file. Let's see what we got more. The third method is to use the fs.writeFile. The fs.writeFile method replaces the specific file and content of the exist file. For example, if we have a file called anything, if we use this file, it replaces everything to the new content. For example, I have hello world inside my file, but I want to replace it with 1 2 3. It created file and put this new content to it. But if the file is not there, if there is no file in such file, it creates this file for us. You can use this method also to create a file. Let's go to my Visual Code, close this one. I create a new file. This time I call it create file by using writeFile.js. Just like before, we have to import the fs module, require the fs, and after that fs dot, this time the write file. You want to use the write file. And what it got inside, just like always, the first thing is the name of the file or the path of the file. Because we want the file inside my project folder, I just write its name. I call it my new file tree.txt. And what is the next thing is the data, what I want inside this one. I wanna say hello world 1, hello world. I want this to be inside the content. And what we have next is a function for errors. It has a parameter of error, just like always you want to check the error. If there is any error, throw that error. If not, console.log file is created. Let's save this file. Let me open the terminal and say note my file name, which is create file writefile.js. Let's run it. Okay, the file is not created. Why? Because okay, we did a mistake. My new file 1 was already there, but as I told you before, it replaced the content. You see, the content is completely removed with this hello world. We want to create a file called my file tree, and there is no such file in here, right? Let's run it again, and there you go, my new file tree is created with the content of hello world. So that was the third method to create a file. Let's see what we got next. Okay, we learned how to create a file, but now we want to update the file. I want to update the file. To update the file, you can use the following method: append file or write file. Just like we did right now, by using the write file, you can update your file. Let's do it quickly. I want to do it inside this this one. Okay, I want to update the content of this my new file tree.txt. Let's go to new file tree.txt. We have hello world. I want to replace it completely. I want to update that one with 1 2 3. Let's save and run it again. If I go back to my new file tree, you see hello world is completely removed with the 1 2 3 content. By using this write file, we can update the content of the file. We can also use the append file. We can also use append to do the same thing. Let's go to append. There we have my new file. You see, this is append file, my new file 1.txt. Let's open this my new file 1.txt. We have hello world inside this one, right? But I want to replace that one with this 1 2 3. I want to replace it with 1 2 3. No, we are not. We have to go to append, sorry. And we are inside the append file, and I open my new file 1. You see, this is the content of my new file 1, hello world. But I want to update it with this 1 2 3 or anything you want. To do that, let's go to Node. Let's go to the terminal. Just say Node, create file append.js. If I go back to my new file, you see we updated the file. We attached this new one to my content. So by using this two method, you can update the file. The first one keeps the original content and put the new one to it, but with this fs.writeFile, we completely update the file. We remove the old content and put the new content. Okay, let's see what you got next. The next is, okay, this is the fs.write to update the file. Yes, we did it right now. Okay, what we have next is to delete the file. We learned how to create a file, we learned how to update the file. Now let's see how we can delete a file. To delete a file, it's actually very easy. Let's go to my terminal. I make a file, I call it delete file.js. I have to import my fs require fs, the file system module. What I want to do to remove a file, you just say fs.unlink and link. This will delete that file for you. What to get inside? The first thing, the path or the file name. Okay, I want to delete this my new file 1.txt. I put this name here, my new file 1.txt. I want to remove this file. And what is the next? The next, we got a function with the error parameter. We check if there is an error or not. If there is an error, you want to throw that error. Okay, if there is not an error, you want to print the console log, file has been deleted. Let's save this one and run it inside the terminal. Node delete file.js. Watch this carefully. My new file 1.txt. If I run this one, you see my new file 1 is removed, deleted. Let's delete my file 2. Just change its name, save and run it again. File 2 is also deleted, and we have this message, file has been deleted. So by using this unlink, we can delete a file inside my computer. Let's see what we got next. The next thing is to rename the file. How we can rename the file? To rename a file with a file system module, use the fs.rename method. This fs.rename method renames the specific file. For example, let's create a file. I call it rename file.js. Let's import the fs module require.fs. Okay, I want to rename this my new file tree to something else. To do it, just say fs.rename that easily, and inside this one we have the path. The first thing is the old path or the current name of the file, which is this file, my new file tree.txt. Okay, and after that comma, this will be the new path, the new file name, what I want to rename it to. I want to rename it to hello.txt. I want to rename my new file tree.txt to hello.txt. And after that we have a function for error, and we check if there is an error, you want to throw that error. If there is not an error, you want to print console log file has been renamed. Let's save this one and go to my terminal, node rename file.js. Let me run this, but have a look here, my new file tree.txt, its name will be changed to hello.txt. Let's run this command. As you can see, hello.txt, the file name has been changed. Let's do it one more time. This time I wanna change it to, for example, cat.txt. Let's run it again. Okay, sorry, this is the old name. We have to, because now file name is changed to hello, you have to type that hello in here, and we want to change this hello.txt to cat. Let's run it, and as you can see, cat.txt, the file name has been changed. So that's all for the file system of Node.js. I hope you guys learned something. In the next video we will talk about new things, but if you're new to Node.js, make sure to watch the first and two tutorial about Node.js, and then watch this tutorial. But if you have any question on this video, let me know at the comment below. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. Have a great time.